Welcome to Paranormal Night Shift, your ultimate destination for everything that goes bump in the dark. Here, we share your fan-submitted stories that blur the line between the ordinary and the unexplained. But before we dive into tonight's chilling tale, we've got a little something for all you curious night shifters. Head over to paranormalnightshift.com and grab your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, the first ebook in our thrilling Dimensional Desperado series. It's the story of how Buck Freeman became the paranormal time-traveling investigator you'll want on your bookshelf, or in this case, your e-reader. Now, let's jump into today's story, submitted by Matthew. It's a spine-tingling tale titled, "Be Careful or the Spirits Will Get You," so dim the lights, settle in, and prepare to be drawn into the unknown. Growing up, my grandmother had a knack for scaring us kids with her tales about spirits. Every time we acted up, she'd wag her finger and warn, "Be careful or the spirits will get you." At 6 years old, I didn't give it much thought. My life revolved around cartoons, juice boxes, and seeing how far I could stretch bedtime without getting caught. Spirits? Ghosts? Those were just spooky stories to keep us in line, or so I thought. Fast forward 8 years. I was 14, and like any teenager, staying up late on the weekends was my norm. One night, I woke up parched at around 3 a.m. I shuffled to the kitchen for a glass of water, half asleep, not expecting anything out of the ordinary. But as I walked back to my room, something changed. The air in the hallway grew colder with every step I took. At first, I thought maybe I was imagining it, but the chill deepened, the kind of cold that seems to seep into your bones. By the time I reached my bedroom door, it was freezing. I grabbed the doorknob, only to find that it wouldn't budge. My hand stuck to it like it was frozen in place. I yanked harder, putting all my weight into it, and the door finally creaked open. The moment the door gave way, the cold began to dissipate, like whatever was causing it had simply let go. I stood there in the doorway, staring into my dark room, expecting to see something. But it was just my room exactly as I'd left it. Convincing myself I must be coming down with something, I flicked on the light. Nothing out of place. I turned the light back off and crawled back into bed, brushing it off as a weird, sleep-deprived moment. That was a mistake. I don't know how much time passed before it happened, but I was jolted awake, gasping for air. My chest felt heavy, like someone was sitting on it and I couldn't move. Panic set in as I realized I couldn't even lift my arms. Then I felt it. A hand wrapped tightly around my throat, squeezing. My heart raced, but I couldn't scream. I couldn't fight back. All I could do was lie there, helpless. And then I heard it. My grandmother's voice, soft and distant, whispering, "Be careful of spirits, love." My eyes snapped open, and that's when I saw it, a shadowy figure looming over me. It wasn't human. Its form shifted, its edges blurry, but the energy it radiated was unmistakable. Anger. I couldn't tell what it wanted, but whatever it wasn't friendly. Just as I thought I couldn't take it anymore, it let go. I rolled onto my side, gasping for air, trembling. The next morning I told my parents about it, desperate for answers, but they brushed it off as a bad dream, telling me not to overthink it. Maybe they were right, I thought. Maybe it was just a dream. Life went back to normal, and nothing strange happened again. At least not for a while. Years later, when I was 27, I took a job as a security guard for a company that ran late-night shifts. I was assigned to the graveyard shift, midnight to 8 a.m., which meant spending hours patrolling empty buildings and properties. One of my regular spots was an old playground that was locked up at night. It was eerie during the day, let alone at night, but I got used to it. One evening during my break, a co-worker shared a story about the playground. He told me a little boy had died there years ago. The boy had snuck out past curfew, and a drunk driver hit him near the edge of the property. It was tragic, but I didn't think much of it at the time. People tell stories like that to make boring shifts more interesting. But then, one night, as I got out of my car to lock the gate, I felt it, a tug on the back of my shirt. It was subtle but deliberate, like someone trying to get my attention. Before I could even turn around, I heard it. A scream. Not just any scream, but the high-pitched, heart-stopping scream of a child. My blood ran cold as I froze in place, unsure of what to do. My instincts kicked in, and I hurried to lock the gate and get out of there. The next night I returned, determined to face whatever was there. This time, I brought a few toys, electric ones that lit up or made noise. I placed them around the playground, hoping to offer some kind of peace or distraction. Then I sat in my car, watching, waiting. For an hour, nothing happened. I started to think maybe I'd imagined the whole thing, that my nerves had gotten the best of me. But then as I sat there, I said aloud, "It's okay. I brought these for you." Almost instantly, one of the toys lit up at the far end of the playground. My heart pounded as another toy closer to me flickered on, then off. And then I saw him. Out of the shadows came a little boy, maybe 6 or 7, darting between the toys. He moved so naturally, laughing as he played, that for a moment I thought he was real, a kid who had snuck out to play. I got out of my car and walked toward him, calling out, "Hey buddy, are you okay?" He didn't answer. He just kept playing, his laughter echoing in the quiet night. Then, as suddenly as he'd appeared, he stopped. He placed the toy he was holding gently on the ground, turned to look at me and smiled. His eyes, though, held something otherworldly, something that made my stomach twist. Before I could say another word, he turned and ran into the shadows. His laughter faded into silence, leaving me standing there, alone. I waited for a moment, half expecting him to come back, but he didn't. The night was still. To this day, I don't know if that little boy needed someone to play with, or if he was trying to tell me something. All I know is that he's out there, somewhere, and I hope he's found the peace he deserves. With that being said, Matthew, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Now, if you have a story you'd like to submit, we'd love to hear it. You can share your experiences directly at paranormalnightshift.com. While you're there, don't forget to claim your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, the first ebook in our exciting series. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support the show, consider joining us on Patreon. As a patron, you'll enjoy an ad-free experience, early access to episodes a week before everyone else, and exclusive access to all future journeys in the Dimensional Desperado ebook series. Not ready for Patreon? No problem. You can still support us by subscribing to the podcast on Spotify or YouTube. And while you're there, drop us a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Thank you for tuning in to Paranormal Night Shift. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your stories ready. Who knows? The next tale might just be yours.